The laugh was a knife, sharp, familiar, cruel. Isabella Sanders froze mid-step in the VIP lounge at Dubai International Airport, vacuum handle cold in her calloused grip. The sound sliced through the hum of polite conversations and clinking espresso cups like a blade finding old scar tissue. She knew that laugh. She'd heard it whisper sweet promises in cramped Los Angeles apartments, heard it mock her accent in front of his friends, heard it dismiss her tears as melodrama. Ryan Matthews. 3 tables away, in a crisp flight attendant uniform and designer sunglasses pushed up into perfect hair, he leaned back in his chair like a man who owned the world. Next to him, a woman with salon-fresh highlights giggled at something he said. He spotted Isabella before she could turn away. His smile widened. "Well, well," Ryan called out, loud enough for half the lounge to hear. "Didn't know the janitor wanted to see the world." Heads turned. A businessman glanced up from his laptop. A mother shielded her child's curious stare. Isabella's pulse spiked, adrenaline flooding her veins the way it had 100 times before. Only this time she wasn't trapped in a relationship. This time, she had nothing left to lose but her dignity, and she refused to lose that again. Her hands trembled, her throat tightened. The vacuum felt like an anchor. Ryan's girlfriend whispered something behind her hand. The mockery was a performance, and Isabella was the punchline. She scanned the lounge desperately. She needed an exit, a distraction, anything. Then she saw him. A man in a navy suit, seated alone near the window, reading the Financial Times with the kind of calm that suggested he'd weathered far worse storms than airport drama. Dark hair, sharp jawline, expensive watch. He didn't look up. Isabella made a choice. She crossed the lounge in 8 strides, heart hammering, and sat down next to the stranger. Before he could react, she leaned in close, her voice barely a whisper. "Please pretend you know me." The man's eyes flicked up from the newspaper, dark, alert, assessing. For a split second, Isabella thought he'd push her away, call security, expose her desperation to the entire lounge. But then his gaze shifted past her shoulder, landed on Ryan's smug face, and something unreadable flickered across his features. Understanding, maybe, or calculation. He set down the paper with deliberate care, then wrapped one arm around her waist, pulling her close with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. His grip was firm but not possessive, professional almost. "Darling," he said smoothly, his accent vaguely British with Middle Eastern undertones. "I was wondering when you'd finish your shift." Ryan's smile faltered. Isabella's breath caught. The stranger's hand rested just above her hip, warm through the thin fabric of her work uniform. She could smell his cologne, sandalwood, and something darker, expensive. He looked at her the way people looked at equals, not obstacles. Ryan stood up, his jaw tight. "You've got to be kidding me." The stranger finally turned his full attention to Ryan, his expression flat and unimpressed. "I'm sorry, is there a problem?" "Yeah, there's a problem," Ryan said, his voice climbing an octave. "That's my—" "Your what?" The stranger's tone didn't rise, but it cut cleanly. "Your mistake, perhaps?" The silence that followed was beautiful. Ryan's girlfriend tugged his sleeve, whispering urgently. Other passengers pretended not to watch while absolutely watching. Isabella felt her pulse slow, her breathing steady. The stranger's thumb traced a barely there circle against her side, grounding, not invasive. Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, then turned and walked away, his posture rigid with humiliation. The stranger waited until Ryan disappeared around the corner before releasing Isabella. He picked up his newspaper again, expression unreadable. "Next time," he said without looking at her, "give me a heads up. I don't work cheap." He paused, then added dryly, "or for free." Isabella stood on shaky legs, clutching her vacuum like a lifeline. "Thank you," she whispered. He didn't respond, didn't even glance up, just turned the page. She walked back to her cart, humiliation replaced by something stranger, confusion, relief, and the unsettling awareness that she'd just been saved by a man who treated mercy like a business transaction. 48 hours later, Isabella stood in the narrow galley of a red-eye flight from Dubai to Los Angeles, counting miniature vodka bottles and trying not to think about navy suits or strangers who asked for payment in hypotheticals. The cleaning agency had offered her a temporary contract, service 3 international flights, then return to LAX janitorial rotation. The pay was decent. The hours were brutal. But Marina needed tutoring, and John's medical bills were piling up faster than insurance could deny them. She worked quietly, methodically, her hands moving through the familiar rhythm of trash bags and disinfectant wipes. Most passengers were asleep. A few tapped on laptops, faces lit blue in the darkness. Then she reached row 2. The man in 2A sat perfectly still, eyes closed, fingers gripping the armrests with white-knuckle intensity. His jaw was clenched, his breathing shallow. Isabella recognized him instantly, the stranger from the lounge, the man who'd wrapped his arm around her waist like a shield and dismissed Ryan Matthews with a single sentence. Up close, she could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his thumb pressed repeatedly against a small silver clip on his watch. His suit was rumpled now, tie loosened. He looked like a man fighting a private war. "Sir," she said quietly, "are you all right?" His eyes snapped open, dark, distant, struggling to focus. "Fine." He was lying. Isabella glanced toward the cockpit. No turbulence, smooth flight, but his hands were shaking. She'd seen this before. Her stepfather, John, right after her mother's funeral, refusing to get on a plane to visit family. Panic dressed as control. "Tea?" she offered, keeping her voice low. "Or water?" "I said I'm fine." "You're also turning blue." Isabella crouched beside his seat, meeting his eyes directly. "You don't have to explain. Just breathe with me. 4 counts in, 6 counts out." He stared at her like she'd just proposed something insane. But then his chest rose, shaky and uneven, following her rhythm. 4 in, 6 out. Again. Again. They didn't speak for the rest of the flight. But every 20 minutes, Isabella passed by his row with a cup of chamomile tea or a cold towel, setting them down without comment. And every time, the man in 2A nodded once, sharp, economical, a gesture that managed to convey both gratitude and a refusal to acknowledge vulnerability. When the plane touched down at LAX, he was the first to disembark. Isabella didn't expect to see him again. She finished her shift at dawn, exhaustion pulling at her bones as she clocked out and headed for the employee lot. The Los Angeles sky was gray and flat, promising heat later. Her phone buzzed with a text from Luke. John's biopsy denied again. Insurance says experimental. Isabella leaned against her car, closing her eyes. $32,000 for a procedure that might save his life. She had $200 in savings and a credit card maxed out on Marina's braces. "Excuse me, Miss Sanders." Isabella's head snapped up. A woman in her 40s stood a few feet away, dressed in a sharp blazer and carrying a leather portfolio. Her hijab was elegantly pinned, her expression professional but warm. "My name is Fatima Zahra," the woman said. "I'm the HR director for Al-Khoury International Trading. We met briefly at the airport. You helped one of our executives during a difficult flight." Isabella's mind raced. "I was just doing my job." "You did more than that." Fatima smiled. "Mr. Al-Khoury asked me to find you. He'd like to offer you a formal application for a position with our North American operations team." Isabella blinked. "I clean planes." "You manage crisis situations with discretion and competence," Fatima corrected gently. "Skills we value highly. The position involves facility management, contract auditing, and safety protocol development. It's entry-level, but the salary is $65,000 annually, with benefits and relocation assistance if needed." $65,000, that was more than double what she made now. That was Marina's college fund. That was John's biopsy. "Why?" Isabella asked bluntly. "Why me?" Fatima's expression softened. "Because Mr. Al-Khoury believes in recognizing competence when he sees it. And because, frankly, our operations division could use someone who understands what it's like to work on the ground level, not just from a boardroom." She handed Isabella a business card. "Think about it. The application process is fair and transparent. No favors, just opportunity." Isabella took the card, her hand still smelling faintly of disinfectant. "I'll think about it." 3 weeks later, Isabella sat across from Samir Al-Khoury in a glass-walled conference room on the 23rd floor of a downtown Los Angeles high-rise. He looked different in daylight, less guarded, more tired. The silver clip was still there, attached to his watch band like a talisman. He hadn't mentioned the flight. She hadn't mentioned the lounge. They were operating under the unspoken agreement that professionalism was safer than gratitude. "Your resume is impressive," Samir said, scanning the document on his tablet. 3 years managing janitorial contracts, safety certifications. You put yourself through community college while supporting 2 siblings and a step-parent. "I haven't finished," Isabella said honestly. "I'm 6 credits short of an associate's degree." "Why did you stop?" "John got sick. Marina needed braces. Luke's scholarship didn't cover housing." She met his eyes without apology. "I chose family. And now? Now I need a job that lets me choose both." Samir nodded slowly, then set down the tablet. "This position isn't charity. You'll work 60-hour weeks during contract audits. You'll deal with facility managers who resent oversight from someone they see as beneath them. You'll be scrutinized harder than anyone else because of how you got here." "I've been scrutinized my whole life," Isabella said quietly. "At least this time I'll be getting paid fairly for it." Something flickered in Samir's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. "You're hired. Fatima will handle the paperwork. Start date is Monday." Isabella's throat tightened. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." Samir stood, extending his hand. "Prove you deserve it." She shook his hand firmly, feeling the calluses on her palm press against his smooth skin. 2 different worlds, meeting in the middle. For the first time in months, Isabella allowed herself to hope. The first 3 months were brutal. Isabella worked 70-hour weeks, learning contract law and safety regulations, auditing facilities from San Diego to San Francisco. She caught mistakes that saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. She designed new cleaning protocols that reduced costs by 18%. And late at night, when everyone else had gone home, she'd find Samir still in his office, reviewing acquisition reports or taking calls from Dubai. They worked in parallel, 2 people who understood the language of exhaustion. The kiss happened on a Thursday night in November. Isabella was reviewing a contract dispute in the break room, highlighter in hand, when Samir walked in looking like he'd been awake for 3 days straight. His tie was gone. His shirt sleeves were rolled up. The silver clip glinted under the fluorescent lights. "Still here?" he asked, pouring coffee that had been sitting on the burner for hours. "Could ask you the same thing." He sat down across from her, rubbing his temples. "Board meeting in Dubai tomorrow. I hate flying." Isabella remembered his white knuckles on the armrest, his shallow breathing. "You're going anyway. Responsibilities don't care about fear." He took a sip of terrible coffee and grimaced. "Your stepfather, how's his treatment going?" She looked up, surprised. "How did you know he started treatment?" "Fatima mentioned you requested an advance on your salary. I approved it." Samir's expression remained neutral. "Is it helping?" "Yes," Isabella said softly. "The biopsy results came back. They caught it early. He's responding well to chemotherapy." "Good." They sat in silence for a moment. The building hummed around them, empty and vast. "Why did you really hire me?" Isabella asked suddenly. "And don't say competence. You didn't know I was competent when you told Fatima to find me." Samir set down his coffee cup, his gaze steady. "Because you didn't flinch when your ex tried to humiliate you. You made a choice, executed a strategy, and walked away with your dignity intact. That's the kind of person I want on my team." "That's the only reason?" "No." His voice dropped, honest and raw. "I hired you because when I couldn't breathe on that plane, you didn't treat me like a CEO or a client. You treated me like a human being who needed help. No one's done that in a very long time." Isabella's heart hammered against her ribs. "Samir," he stood abruptly. "It's late. You should go home." But he didn't move, and neither did she. The space between them felt charged, dangerous, like lightning gathering in a summer sky. Isabella knew she should leave, knew this was a line that, once crossed, couldn't be uncrossed. She crossed it anyway. She stood, closed the distance, and kissed him. Samir went still for half a heartbeat, then kissed her back with the intensity of someone who'd been holding his breath for months. His hands found her waist, pulling her closer. She felt the silver clip press against her hip, cool metal between them. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Samir pressed his forehead against hers. "This complicates everything," he whispered. "I know. People will say terrible things. They already do." His thumb traced her jawline. "I can't promise this will be easy." "I don't need easy," Isabella said. "I need real." For 6 weeks, they kept it quiet. Secret coffee breaks, late-night phone calls, stolen moments in empty conference rooms. Isabella knew it couldn't last. Workplace romances never stayed hidden, especially when one person was the CEO and the other was the woman everyone whispered about. The explosion came from an unexpected source. Ryan Matthews had never stopped watching, never stopped resenting, and when he saw a photo of Isabella and Samir leaving the office together, just walking to their cars, nothing scandalous, he saw an opportunity. He called Delilah Grant. Delilah ran a lifestyle blog with 2 million followers and a reputation for destroying people's lives in exchange for clicks. She specialized in exposing gold diggers and protecting successful men from manipulation. Her comment sections were cesspools of misogyny disguised as concern. The article went live on a Monday morning. From janitor to CEO's girlfriend, the calculated climb of Isabella Sanders. It included edited photos, out-of-context voice messages Ryan had recorded during their relationship, and quotes from anonymous sources painting Isabella as manipulative, opportunistic, desperate. The comments were worse. By noon, Isabella's phone was flooded with messages. Reporters camped outside her apartment building. Strangers sent death threats to her work email. Luke called, panicked, saying photographers had shown up at his campus. Fatima appeared in Isabella's office looking furious. "The board is getting calls. Conservative clients are threatening to pull contracts." "I'll resign," Isabella said quietly. "Like hell you will," Fatima snapped. "You haven't done anything wrong." "Doesn't matter." Isabella's hands shook as she packed her desk. "My presence here is hurting the company. Hurting Samir's reputation. I won't let that continue." "Isabella, tell him I'm sorry." She walked out before Fatima could stop her, before Samir could come downstairs and try to fix something that couldn't be fixed, before she broke down completely. Outside, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Isabella kept her head down, pushed through the crowd, and got in her car. She drove to the hospital where John was receiving treatment, parked in the back lot, and finally allowed herself to cry. Her phone buzzed. A text from Samir. "Don't run. We'll fight this together." But Isabella knew better. She'd seen what happened when women like her got involved with men like him. The woman always lost, always paid the price, always became the villain in someone else's story. She turned off her phone and went inside to sit with John, who was sleeping peacefully, the IV drip steady and sure. 3 months passed like a slow bleed. Isabella went back to janitorial work. Different company, different airports, same calloused hands and invisible labor. She moved to a smaller apartment to save money. Marina's tutoring stopped. Luke picked up extra shifts at a campus bookstore. The tabloid attention faded, replaced by fresher scandals. Delilah moved on to her next target. Ryan posted a vague apology on social media that fooled no one. Isabella learned to live in the hollow space grief leaves behind. Then, on a gray February morning, John collapsed during a routine chemotherapy session. The cancer had spread, aggressively. The doctors recommended an experimental treatment, immunotherapy combined with targeted radiation, that insurance classified as investigational and refused to cover. Cost, $89,000. Isabella sat in the hospital corridor, staring at the estimate, trying to do math that didn't add up. Luke stood beside her, silent. Marina cried quietly in the waiting room. "Isabella Sanders?" She looked up. Samir stood in front of her wearing a dark coat and carrying an umbrella. He looked thinner, tired. The silver clip caught the fluorescent light. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice hollow. "Fatima called me." He sat down beside her, maintaining a careful distance. "I'm here to help. I don't need... It's not charity." Samir pulled a folder from his briefcase. "It's a contract. Al-Khoury International will cover John's treatment costs under our corporate medical assistance program. You'll pay it back over 10 years, interest-free, through automatic deductions from your salary." Isabella stared at him. I don't work for you anymore. You could. He set the folder in her lap. Fatima's been holding your position open. The board voted to reinstate you with a promotion to regional coordinator. Turns out your cleaning protocols saved us $500,000 last quarter, and clients have been asking specifically for your audits. Samir, I can't. You can. His voice was steady, certain. You can accept help without losing yourself. You can work for a company that values you without being defined by scandal. You can let people love you without believing you don't deserve it. Isabella's throat closed. People will always say things. Samir's hand hovered near hers, not touching, asking permission. The question is whether you're going to let them write your story. She looked at the contract, at the numbers that could save John's life, at the man who'd offered help without strings, respect without conditions. She took his hand. Okay, she whispered. But we do this right, transparent, documented, no shortcuts. Samir smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him in months. I wouldn't expect anything less. John's treatment began the following week. Isabella returned to Al Khoury International with her head high and her contracts airtight. Fatima welcomed her back with fierce pride. The team who'd watched her leave quietly apologized. The ones who hadn't stood by her found themselves reassigned. The work was relentless. Isabella threw herself into facility audits, safety protocol development, training programs for subcontracted workers. She designed financial literacy workshops for janitorial staff, teaching them about credit, savings, workers' rights. She made the invisible visible. Meanwhile, Ryan Matthews made one final miscalculation. He contacted Isabella directly, threatening to release more damaging information unless she paid him $50,000. He sent screenshots of their old text messages, implied he had recordings, suggested her relationship with Samir was built on lies. Isabella recorded the call. Then she walked into the company's legal department with her phone, the recordings, and a detailed timeline of Ryan's harassment. Within 24 hours, Al Khoury International's attorneys had filed a police report for extortion and a civil lawsuit for defamation. Ryan panicked. He tried to delete his social media, scrub his digital footprint, claim he'd been joking. It didn't matter. The evidence was documented. The pattern was clear. When a local news station reached out for comment, Isabella agreed to a brief interview. She sat in a simple chair wearing a professional blazer and spoke clearly. My name is Isabella Sanders. I've worked in janitorial services, facility management, and operations coordination. I've supported my family through illness and financial hardship. I've made mistakes, learned hard lessons, and built a career on competence and integrity. I won't be defined by lies from someone who tried to control me, and I won't hide from people who profit from tearing women down. The interview went viral, not for scandal, but for dignity. Delilah Grant's agency faced an ethics investigation. Several clients dropped her. She posted a vague statement about not having all the facts, which fooled no one. Ryan was convicted of criminal extortion and sentenced to probation, community service, and mandatory counseling. He lost his job. His sponsorships evaporated. Isabella felt no satisfaction in his downfall, only relief that the weapon he'd wielded for so long had finally been taken away. On a warm evening in late spring, Samir and Isabella stood on a rooftop in downtown Los Angeles, watching the city lights flicker to life. The same city where she'd scrubbed floors while people mocked her. The same city where she'd learned to survive. The same city that was finally learning to see her. Samir reached into his pocket and pulled out the silver clip, the one he'd worn for 3 years, the one that held his grief like a promise. Her name was Nadia, he said quietly. We were supposed to get married. The plane went down 6 weeks before the wedding. Isabella took his hand. I wore this because I thought letting go meant forgetting. Samir turned the clip over in his palm. But you taught me something different, that honoring the past doesn't mean staying trapped in it. That grief and love can coexist. That moving forward isn't betrayal, it's survival. He placed the clip in a small wooden box, closed it gently. I'll always carry her memory, but I don't need to carry the weight anymore. Isabella kissed him softly. Neither do I. They stood together as the sky darkened, two people who'd learned that love isn't rescue, it's recognition. It's choosing every day to see each other's full humanity. It's building something real from broken pieces. 3 months later, they made it official in a small courthouse ceremony. Luke and Marina served as witnesses. John, in remission and stronger every day, walked Isabella down the metaphorical aisle. Fatima cried. The reception was held at a community center, with tables full of Moroccan couscous and Marina's homemade tres leches cake. No luxury, no scandal, just family. Isabella kept her job and her salary. She opened a savings account for nursing school, finally finishing those last 6 credits. She launched an internal program training subcontracted workers in crisis management, first aid, financial planning, giving dignity to labor the world preferred to ignore. Luke enrolled in a radiology technician program on partial scholarship. Marina started a paid internship at a medical research lab, inspired by her sister's perseverance. Ryan faded into obscurity, his apology tour ignored by everyone who mattered. Delilah learned that influence without ethics has an expiration date. And late one night, while Samir reviewed expansion contracts with fair labor clauses for workers across the Americas, Isabella studied biology at their kitchen table, highlighter in hand, future wide open. The victory wasn't in anyone's fall. It was in her steady rise, earned, documented, undeniable. The world finally learned to clean its own gaze.